In the 70s, there was a problem which mostly was not that public. There were 2,000 or 3,000 homeless families, but who were hidden away in some welfare hotels. Families stopped functioning, kids stopped going to school, actually a number of kids died falling down elevator shafts.
People did not realize that, first of all, the amount of money that the city was paying to house a homeless family in these rundown, what became known as welfare hotels, with all the drugs and prostitution going on in those buildings. And the city then really had to try to find another way to help people who were homeless. And the Henry Street Settlement Urban Family Center was developed.
Urban Family Center was designed by the executive director, Burt Beck, of Henry Street Settlement back in 1972. And it was in response to families living in welfare hotels in very deplorable conditions. As a response to that, Henry Street Settlement came up with this brilliant idea of developing a homeless family shelter.
The approach that we developed came out of almost, I consider it almost like a laboratory, because nobody had ever done it before. There was never a building housing 100 homeless families with children in 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments with 24-hour social services. And at one point, people were taking bets that there were no way 100 homeless families coming from all over the city could live together in a building and the building would survive.
We had what was called a morning meeting, which we thought would take 15 to 20 minutes every morning. It turned out that at the beginning, the first year or so, these morning meetings lasted almost 2 or 3 hours because situations that we were dealing with were not the kind of situations that one learned how to deal with from the books. It was an entirely different kind of situation. We had no books to go to. We were creating, in a sense, creating the books.
Danny Cronenfeld and Verona Middleton Jeter were the pioneers of a new approach toward homelessness.
Over the years, people would ask me, well, how could you stay at a place for 37 years? And my answer has always been, and even looking back, that there was no, of all of the days, I've never felt like, oh, I've done this before. But the whole approach that Henry Street had, which helped me to stay longer, was how can we do this better and differently?
What was special about UFC was the fact that we were, at the same time as being respectful for people and respectful for, for what it was that they saw as their issues and problems, an approach which really attempted to deal with the whole family, which attempted to provide services for the kids and for the teenagers who were there.
It was really a model of what a humane approach to housing homeless families would look like. So that it was a whole family intervention model. It wasn't just housing. It wasn't just saying you're going to stay here. It was saying we're going to give you a place to stay, but we're also going to help you make sure that your family is functioning and that your kids are healthy and going to school. So it was a very important model to say, here's an opportunity in a way. Here are families in crisis. We're going to help them get through the crisis, and we're going to help them get on sure footing so that when they leave here, they have a chance of success.
Our former director, Verona Middleton Jeter, and Danny Cronenfeld taught us very early on that we are to treat people with dignity and respect, that we should treat our consumers the exact same way that we are expected to be treated. And that's what we do. And that's what we've continued to do for the 25 years that I've been here. I think that's one of the things that make us unique. And I see change. When a person walks in the door and when I see them exit the door, just the physical changes is powerful and impactful. This is true social service.
To be in this type of environment is not just come with education. It has to be something that's within you. that you bring and the people that they hire for work at Henry Street Settlement, they bring dedication, a certain sensitivity, a certain caring that is not taught. It's a part of them.
When I first got to UFC, I figured that it would be like all the other shelters. You know, I think the staff would be harsh. They wouldn't care that much about me and my brothers. They were just worried about us getting there, them getting us out. But I got to know the staff, and they started helping me with things as far as school. They got me a job, and they showed interest in us.
Last Christmas, I had a family who was moving out of shelter who was pretty sad because she received so much support here and had lived in other shelters that were extremely scary. And her 2-year-old son said to her when they moved in, "Mom, I think we could stay here. It feels safe." And that, for me, really spoke to the fact that what we do here is good work.
I think that Henry Street Settlement was visionary, and I think they should be very proud of the fact that they, in essence, were the first to develop what has now become the way we do it, the way we provide temporary shelter for homeless families.
I don't even want to think about where I would be if it wasn't for Henry Street. And that's the honest truth.